TikTok, it's time to rock. Welcome to the Sunday show, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure and my privilege to come here with you, obviously. If you are not a stranger to the show, you will know the Rock Professor. He's the handsome guy next to me. Yeah, more about that later. He's the alien next to me, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you, Simon.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. Something's just happened to our co-host. So while he comes back on, here he is.
Something's
All right.
always happening to our co-host. Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are new to the channel and you are not familiar with this guy, please put your hands together for him. He's one of the foundation pillars of this channel. His name is, well, today we know him as... Hello, Willie Knott. How are you?
Willie? Oh, yes. Look at that stony face. Look at that. Carl, can you hear us, Carl?
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Don't do that.
How are you, brother? How are you? Carl, you're live.
Looking confused as ever.
Carl, you're live.
Carl, you need to say something.
Carl, you're live. Okay, I'll just drop him out while he gets his stuff together.
Can you hear? Oh.
I'll just send him a message. Simon, do you want to do a couple of intros? There's a couple of things that you want to mention, so it might be a good opportunity to do that while I get in touch with Carl.
Okay, all right. You text Carl, and I'll do a couple of do some. I've got notes, kids. So good news. Newsreader. The Rock Professor's news reading mode this morning. So good morning to everyone. I'll get around saying hi to you in a minute. The first thing we need to mention this week is the sad passing of Wilco Johnson from Dr. Feelgood. I don't know how big he was, particularly in America or in the Antipodes, but over here they were absolutely seminal band, Dr. Feelgood, in that pub rock scene. Pre-punk in the mid-70s, they were preeminent on that. Amazing, and he had an amazing style of that kind of combination of rhythm and lead playing, which wasn't unique because he got it from a guy called Mick Green, who was in Johnny Kidd and the Pirates, and one or two other people. But he made it his own, and he had an extraordinary stage presence, just storming about, doing this kind of wide-eyed and.
Carl, testing, 1, 2, 3. Carl, testing. How are you, bro?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you live. Awesome. Can you hear us? Carl, can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Carl?
Carl, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Can you hear me, Mother?
Yeah.
You can hear us?
The playback was very slow.
Yeah, but that's because you don't watch us on YouTube, Carl.
Are you watching this from your StreamYards? Are you watching from StreamYards, Carl?
Yep, I can hear you now crystal clear. My mic's kicked in.
Oh, we can't hear you now very well. I'll have to turn you up.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Not really.
Carl, testing, 1, 2, 3.
You were fine, and then you put your headphones in, and then you've gone very, very quiet.
Testing. 1,
Can
2,
you hear me
3,
now?
Carl. No.
No.
Your mic's not working, bro.
Oh,
Okay.
StreamYards is
well,
funny with wireless headphones. Mine don't work with it.
Yeah. Like I say, there's a lot of things that we could. Right. This might be a two-man show. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We'll carry on with Simon's
With the
intro,
news?
and then we'll try a third time to get Carl on. Otherwise, we'll just carry the show on, like I said, with the two of us.
We just need to do what he normally does, is just come on his phone, use his phone mic and camera, and he'll be fine. So Wilco Johnson, yeah, R.I.P. As I say, one of the bastions of British pub rock that led into punk as well, and they were one of the leading lights of that drifted into that punk movement. They had short songs, but if you don't know him, check him out. He's an amazing guitar player and amazing stage presence as well. Wild-eyed and charging about everywhere with a curly lead. That's all good. So, Tim, we'd like to say happy birthday to John McVie, one of the bass player with Fleetwood Mac, one of the pillars of this channel.
Carl, testing. 1, 2, 3.
No,
can't hear you, Carl.
no. Go out and come back in again, Carl, and don't use your headphones.
Reboot.
No.
Reboot your device, mate, and come back.
Go out and come back in again, and don't use your headphones. Or use some wired headphones. That's my advice. So happy birthday to John McVie. And born today in 1942, he would have been 80 years old, Jimi Hendrix. And those are the bastions of this channel. 80 years old. Can you imagine Jimi Hendrix being 80? Quite hard to imagine, really, isn't it? We also had we also want to give a shout out to our co-host Brad, who's busy out playing his guitar and gigging today. So I hope it went well, Brad. Hope it's a good one. And of course, last night, Andrew was on earlier with John Conklin. It's really great to see him back after his heart scare. Fantastic to see him back. So Conks, good to see you, man, and I hope you're recovering well. And we look forward to more shows with you. Fantastic. So that's pretty much all I've got, Mr. Walton, on here while we wait for Carl to come back. I suppose we could.
Okay, what I'll do, guys, I'll show you some pics that we had set aside for the show. So if you've been following me on social media, guys, you'll be aware that this famous album cover, if you follow us on any of our Facebook groups, is now deemed by Zuckerberg's Facebook group a adult-themed sexual activity picture, and they ban it from some Facebook groups and put a warning up on others. So very, very interesting, Simon. Very interesting, isn't it?
Pair of jeans. There you are.
But if you're a girl that's got $2 and you pay Facebook $2 a week, Simon, you can go on there and you can bounce your body around in half-naked positions and get promoted
That's
over
fine.
Facebook, Simon. That's fine.
So the issue is you don't pay the $2. I'm just saying. And I particularly, could I say, when you mentioned it last night with John, I loved his comment, which is, what's the problem? The zip's up.
Yeah.
That was lovely comment.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, just interesting though, isn't it?
Dear.
It's an interesting observation. The cover of Fair Warning too, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware of, has it's a famous painting, and the painter, I can't remember his name. Someone in the chat might remember who it is, but there's a guy on top of a guy punching a guy, so they deem that photo or that painting too. They give that
Do they?
As a warning as well, because it encourages violence. So yeah, very interesting. Yeah, so I just thought we'd talk about that album cover. Here he is. Let's try again. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Willie Knott. Will he not?
Hello?
How are you,
Can you
brother?
hear?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Rock and roll.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Sorry I missed the intro, but I imagine we went through the formalities of some announcements and this great show in front of us, the stripped album.
Yeah. So I thought what we should do now, if that's okay, like I say, we've gone through and we were just going to show some pics, but at some stage during this show, Simon will probably about the fourth or the fifth song, maybe we can flick through the pics, or maybe even just save it for the end, because we're only, ladies and gentlemen, this is a long album, so we're only doing on this stream 7 songs, the first 7 songs. So bear with us, please. You'll have to come back for part 2. But Carl is leading the show, followed by myself, and the Rock Professor is going to come through on the third horse.
On the rails.
On the rails.
Trifecta.
Carl, do you want to give us a bit of an intro into the album, and also your experiences with this album, what you were doing when it first came out, some of your observations and thoughts? Then I'll get the Rock Professor to do his, and then I'll round up with mine, and then we'll kick off the rankings. What do you think?
Yeah, great. I'll be brutally honest. I'm a big Stones fan, but this was I overlooked this album, and I gave it another good listening to this morning. And I don't know why I didn't give it that much attention, because it's great. We've got a combination of some deep cuts, some acoustic work, some live cuts, and just goes to show you how good they were sounding in 95, 96.
Yeah.
This was off the heels of the Voodoo Lounge. Is that right? This is before or after?
Hot off the heels.
After.
Okay. And they were doing some small shows. Is that right? Some smaller venues in Paris and that? Yeah. So I'm digging the track listing. I'm looking forward to getting through some of these songs. So I've been out of the mix for a while. I've been recording elsewhere, but with this ranking and never a skip, are we going to rank each track, are we?
Correct.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Okay, nice. I just didn't want to. Yeah. So I appreciate Andrew for once again inviting me on. I'm glad the show is growing and doing so well. I actually do watch the show on a weekly basis. Sometimes not all of it, but as much as I can. And I miss Simon's humour and his laugh. There we go. It's contagious.
I hope so. If it's not fun, I'm not coming.
No, we appreciate the kind words.
Yeah. So we'll kick off, I think. Stripped.
Hold on, before we'll have a go at saying where we came in with this too.
Okay, cool. It's all a bit new to me. I think I've been out of action for about a year. But I appreciate I appreciate the invite, and I'm looking forward to ranking some of these great songs.
Fantastic.
That's me.
Getting the band back together, as they said to Andrew. We're back. Travelled in time back.
Johnny, Carl's not a newbie. Carl and I started the channel together, and
I think 4 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago, and then the Rock Professor jumped in with some outstanding comments. So Carl and I got the Rock Professor on, so it was the 3 of us, and then Carl had to go and do. He changed professions and got caught up spending a lot of his weekends doing business. So we're lucky to get Carl on as a special guest. So definitely not a newbie, Johnny.
I made it clear to Andrew from
show.
I made it clear to Andrew when we started, I was a session guitarist, which means I had to go here, there, and everywhere. I couldn't tell her, guys.
Yeah, and I'm the Ronnie Wood of the show. We'll get to that, but yeah. So I mean, I'm like you, Carl. I've never really. I don't think I've ever listened to this album before this week when it was suggested, and I too have been really pleasantly surprised. I've been really enjoying it as a record. I'm really enjoying the kind of quite relaxed atmosphere, and the deep cuts as well, going a bit more into it as well, not just doing another version of Satisfaction. I think is been really cool, actually. Yeah, so I've been really enjoying it as well.
Yep.
Andrew, what about you?
Yeah, I was hanging out for this album. The first single of the album that was dropped was Like a Rolling Stone, and that was being played on the rock station that I was listening to at the time. Carl might remember the rock station. It was Kiwi.
Yep.
No, it was the Rock FM.
Rock 93?
Rock 93 FM, correct. And, this was clearly, obviously, Simon and everybody up the rock album, the rock channels sleeves, and they were making a big deal about this, and it came out, Simon and Carl, November, so it was just before Christmas, and it was just one of those times. So I've got a lot of fondness for this album because I was drinking a lot of beer with a lot of friends at Christmas time, and this was the album that we were listening to. So there were some nice surprises on this album that we can obviously clearly talk about. But I particularly loved this album, and I'm going to make a bit of a mention here. Go, people, and see the 2016 Totally Stripped. It's available on a digital download. It's like a documentary, and it's got a lot of background into this album that we're talking. If you love the Stones, go back and watch that. If you don't want to digitally download it, it's available on DVD or Blu-ray. Well worth getting.
Yeah, cool.
Yep. No, I remember that now vaguely, that coming on the radio and the promotion behind it. So, yeah, it brings back good memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
so we'll kick off the rankings. Simon, just in the middle of the intros that we did we do a shout out to Brad?
We did a shout out to Brad. Of course, I did. Yes.
Oh,
and
awesome.
John. Yes.
Okay. Oh,
Yes,
okay, awesome. Yeah.
Shall
So Brad, I want to do a shout.
Yeah.
I want to do a
go
shout
on.
out to Brad too. Thank you, bro, for being who Brad is. We love you, brother.
Being Brad. Is that a film?
That's a song I'm writing.
Before we start, I'll say a quick hello to everyone in the chat. It's a good idea. So good morning to Ellen. Good morning, Ellen. Stephen Fish. Morning, Stephen. Arvin. Morning, Arvin. Nice to see you. I've seen you for a while. Hope you're good. We've got Johnny Heartbreaker. Morning, Johnny. Always there. Gretch Zeppelin as well. Morning, Gretch. Some cool stuff already. I think that's everyone who's made a comment. So morning all. Nice to see you. Staying up late in the States. It's fantastic. Okay, cool. And I'll say hello to people as they come in as well as we go forward. All right,
Awesome.
Carl, off you go.
All right. So if I've got the right album, it kicks off with Street Fighting Man.
Correct.
Yep. So
was a good start. Yes.
So a few things. Mick Jagger's sounding great. We know this song obviously is a 60s anthem. It's not a throwaway pop song with sing with lyrics about love. It's pointed to the what was going on at that particular time. Protests and Vietnam and all sorts of things. But it just goes to show you, in 1968 when it was cut, and in 1995, the sound's expression is relative and live as it ever was. And it's a great album opener. I saw the Stones in San Antonio in 2004, the 40 Licks tour, and they paid homage to Sticky Fingers mainly. Get your ears out, let it bleed. But the point I'm making is they opened all the concerts with Street Fighting Man. What a great song. And Mick, the way that Mick sings it, I'm not sure what the everywhere I hear the sound, is that the cadence? Is he singing on the cadence, or is it synonym, or consonant?
Staccato. I call that staccato.
Staccato, okay. And it's just incredible vocals, and obviously Keith's got some great rhythm there and a different style of tuning. But great song. The Stones are sounding hot. Never a skip for me, a 9 out of 10.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
And bringing it back to a younger audience.
Yeah. Well, clearly that's the whole idea with this album, I think, as well. But also appealing to a few of the grey hairs at the time too. Bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, in '95 I was not grey. So, despite all the rumours, look, I have to agree with Carl. It's a classic Stones song, isn't it? And it's got that classic acoustic intro that we're all familiar with. But this time we've got Ronnie and Keith playing it, and go and check out the videos of these two guys playing it. It's fantastic. Definitely this London Town band here on this opening track is here for business, and it's definitely a great classic song for that. And I like the fact that they've just modernised it a little bit. And I'm glad that Carl mentioned the way that Mick is singing on this track, because as Mick developed from about 94, 95 with his vocals, in order for him to look after his vocals, he tended to rap a little bit as opposed to singing. So and we can talk about that a little bit more as we go through on some of these other tracks. But I think this is definitely one where he's enhancing the song a little bit with his vocals as well, which is classic Mick Jagger. Look at Beggars Banquet, Simon, where he's always putting on this actor's voice. He's acting with his vocals. And whether or not he's doing that deliberately with this song, I don't know. But I like that, and I'm glad that Carl pointed that out. And I'm glad also, I'm really, really glad that they didn't do a lead with the acoustic guitars. I'm glad that they just kept, the acoustic rhythm guitaring playing during that solo break, Simon. I'm glad we just got that, because I think if they'd sort of put an acoustic lead on there, I think it would have got a little bit lost. But I like the fact that there was just two acoustic guitars jamming. One of the gems and charms about the song for me was that. And I too, like Carl, have given it 9 out of 10, and it's never a skip. Rock Professor.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the first thing I'd say is that this album is quite in keeping with this mid-90s thing for Unplugged, isn't it? That kind of acoustic thing, more acoustic thing going on. And I would say clearly it plugs into that vibe that was going on then with MTV doing the Unplugged sessions and things. And we've done a couple of those, done Eric Clapton on here. Unplugged,
Charles.
Similar, around the same time. Morning, Charles. Morning, Tim. And so I think that it's definitely in keeping with that. Like, is it a 12-string at the beginning, Andrew? Is it a 12? It sounded very ringy for a 6-string. Could have been a 12.
From the two they're playing, one's playing a Gibson Dove, and the other looks like they're playing a Martin. So I don't think they're 12 strings.
Okay. But great sounding guitar. I mean, it's recorded really well. I think that's fantastic. And I agree with you. I think that I made a note of it. The kind of the twin guitars, the intertwine. The thing that Keith likes best is, you're never quite sure who's playing what as they interweave with each other. And instead of that, the solos you pointed out, Andrew, they've got that. One plays the chord, and the other one fills in the gaps with the strum pattern, and then the other one plays the chord again. It's it's really tight. Playing in a real kind of vibe between the two of them about the telepathy about playing with two people like that, and not one just being the lead guitar player and one being the rhythm guitarist.
I agree.
Much more a thing. Great piano playing as well. I'll point out the piano playing quite a lot on here, because it's one of the main instruments on this as well. That kind of as I say, in keeping with the more acoustic vibe of this record. It's really good. I too gave it a 9 out of 10, and never a skip. Really strong opening.
Brilliant. Carl.
Nice. And we're moving on now to Like a Rolling Stone. Wow. So what a great song to pay homage to one of their great influences in songwriting. And the added bonus, obviously, the title Rolling Stone. but more so, it's a crowd favourite because it's a crowd sing along, especially the chorus, and the song just suits the band. Energy, good rhythm, good tempo. You would have almost thought that the Rolling Stones wrote it. So thank you, Bob Dylan. And if you listen quietly at the end, Keith said, "Thanks, Bob."
Thanks, Bob. Thank you, Bob.
So I'm going to keep this quite brief. I'll keep it brief. I'll pretty much just basically bullet points here. Bob Dylan, a fantastic songwriter, heavily influential on the Stones. Stones said, "Thank you." The Rolling Stone, like a Rolling Stone, how would you feel? Imagine being at the concert with that sing along, 90,000 at MCG or Madison Square Garden. So, hey, it's not a Stones original, but it's a Stones song. 9 out of 10, never a skip.
Yeah. What can we say about this song, ladies and gentlemen? Summer 1995. And we're listening to this song on the radio. And, you know, I know a lot of guys. When I say a lot, probably 2 or 3 guys that I was chatting with over the summer that had not heard or listened to Bob Dylan. And because of this song, went back and listened to Bob Dylan. So you know how we
That's
talk
cool.
about gatekeepers and people going back and, you know, like Clapton, for example, and Keith Richards himself being a gateway back to Robert Johnson and all these other blues guys. Yes, a back channel. So in a way, this song did it for people that I know, guys I know personally with Dylan. So, you know, top marks for that. And as Carl said, how does it feel at that 1 minute mark? And then you hear the crowd, you know, getting behind it, Simon. It's just like, as Carl said, it's just got this fever attached to it. Brings back so many memories, Carl and Simon and everybody in the chat when I hear this song. So many good memories. And what's really good about this song too, clearly for me, is the way Mick is singing this. He's actually singing this song. He's not rapping this song. He's singing it. And for me, I'm going to bring some integrity back to this channel. This song's not a 9 out of 10. This song's a 10 out of 10. And it's never a skip. Rock Professor.
Wow.
Yeah, it's yes. Yeah. What took them so long was my initial reaction. I think when I heard it, took your time, didn't you guys? Come on, 30 years, blimey, to get round to playing a song that has your name in the title. Where have you been? I mean, it's the first thing I say about is how kind of faithful it is to the original. You know, with the organ up front and the you know, the guitars laid back a bit and stuff, and amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic version, and it did make I must say the harmonica playing made me laugh a bit. It's a bit kind of wheezy. Mick, need some practice, mate. On that. It's a bit,
but they managed to capture that nice guitar jingle.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, no, it's fine. It just makes me smile. It's kind of a bit wheezy. Mick, he's a bit rusty on the old harp, are we? It's got made me smile. I don't think it's his best harmonica work, I have to say, but that's being picky. And you know, it's I mean, clearly, it's, you know, it is one of the great rock classic songs of all time. It's just, you know, and
Big time.
You know, and always reminds me of you know, Bob Dylan at the Manchester Free Trade Hall, you know, 1965. You know, when someone shouts out Judas, you know, well, when he shouts out Judas and he turns around and he goes, you know, play effing loud, you know, and they just absolutely smack into it. I mean, in this extraordinary way, but always brings me chills. That does so. But it's a fantastic. I think they retain all of it. They retain all the good bits about it. You know, this got great swing. You know, and as you say, if you ever want to know why you want to be in a rock and roll band, when the crowd sings, how does it feel? That's why you want to be in a rock and roll band, isn't it? You know, when they're all joining in.
Wow.
You know, must be a thrill every time they do it. You know, it's kind of a 9.5 out of 10 for me. Docked half a point for wheezy harmonica playing.
I was going to ask, can we add fractions with our rating system?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. It's all allowed here, Carl. Don't worry. You can have a Brad score, which is more than 10 out of 10, and you can have any minor irritations between 9 and 10 iterations between 9 and 10. So you can have 9.23 if you want. That's fine.
Okay.
Thanks, Stephen. Stephen reckons
Yeah.
it's a 10 out of 10 as well, and so does Alan. So that's great.
I'm just being churlish
third
by
song,
docking them
Carl.
half a point.
Not Fade Away. So I was listening to it this morning, and I thought a few things came across my mind. I was thinking, when they first covered this, they were, 1920? And it sounded great, but it did sound very, very youthful. Obviously, homage to Buddy Holly. But if you want to, Andrew mentioned before about gatekeepers and channeling. That actual particular rhythm's Bo Diddley style rhythm. So, and what a great job that the bass player and Charlie Watts were doing on this particular song, just keeping that groove going. What I like about the song is basically here we have the Stones, probably 50 years old, 55 and 95, and just sounding very more like men, but still capturing that youthful energy. And I'm glad that they chose that song because you don't hear them do that song much live, but it it's paying homage to Buddy Holly. It's got a great rhythmic presence. It's only 2 chords, and if you want to go deeper, Bo Diddley, who's an American treasure with that African style rumba pattern. So for me, I prefer this version in a way to the original. And the band swinging, I'm going to give it a solid rock and roll 8 out of 10 and never a skip.
Wow. Okay. As Carl said, ladies and gentlemen, digging back all the way back to 1964. But completely a 1995 version of the song, isn't it? You know, when you compare this version in 1995 back with that original version. The key to this song for me, Carl and Simon, the key on this song clearly is Chuck and his keyboards on this song. That he's definitely doing something. He's bouncing and he's keeping that song moving forward. It's only a short song. And certainly if Mick had a problem on the previous song with a mealy mouth interpretation of being a harp player, he certainly makes up for it on this number. He certainly does. And one interesting point that I want to share with you guys too, I went back and did some research because I wasn't sure whether Brian played the harp on the original version, but apparently Mick played the harp on the original version too. So this is Mick, as Carl said, 30 years later, certainly sounding tonally more mature, clearly on this version of the song. Carl, I don't know if this is a better version of the original 64 version. I think they're on par. But what you'll like, though, is I too have given this an 8 out of 10, and it's never a skip. Rock Professor.
I agree. Yeah, the first guy, the beginning reminded. I thought it was going to go into please allow me to introduce myself. Oh man, I had that same kind of because it's got that kind of Latin feel. I know it's got some congas or maracas, that kind of Latin feel that actually fits it really well.
It's Afro-Cuban. Afro-Cuban.
Yeah, that Afro-Cuban kind of vibe to it as well. That's that was what was really interesting, and and he thought, oh yeah, it fits that really well, doesn't it? as a thing before they actually kind of get into the so all of that going on, and Andrew, I agree with you. Hart playing a lot better on this. That's my churlish docking of half a point. It's not. But I really, again, I think you're right. There's a kind of, it's more grown up, this version, isn't it? It's more the guys doing it. It's not quite that youthful kind of pop feel. It has a bit more. I think it's a great version. I really liked it as a version. I think it's swings along. I like the electric playing from Keith. You know, that's fantastic, and the solo as well. It's got a nice little solo in it. That is, you know, and it's got. I'd have to say I agree with you about the organ playing. I think the organ playing is one of the features of this record, isn't it? You know, Chuck Leavell on the keyboards, piano, and all is just really good on this. I gave an 8 out of 10 as well. Never a skip, a really good version of it as well. You know, moving.
Seems like Alan loves it.
Yeah, Alan's going to time us all out because she's given it 10 plus. All right.
Well done, Ellen. So you should.
She's kept.
All right.
Hello.
Thank you for that, Alan. Yeah.
Andrew's timed
Carl,
us all out.
Yeah. we can still hear you, mate. We can still hear you. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So next song, Mr. Willie, whatever your name is today, Willie Jackson. Oh, Willie not.
Blind melon chitlin, yes.
Hey, we talk about deep cuts. Here we've got a diamond, not in the rough, but something that's just so deep that it's been mined, and shine a light. Just the Stones have been criticised over the decades for being a basic 3-chord band, just a rock band, but this shuts up all the critics as far as I'm concerned. Gospel, relative, great lyrics. Mick Jagger's on fire. The breakdown, the piano from Chuck Leavell. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you could be in Louisiana or Georgia or some saloon in Texas listening to it. It's just got that southern feel. It's just beautiful. Just reminds me of gospel, a Sunday afternoon, warm weather, friends, bourbon. I'm not gonna muck around. This is a 10 out of 10. Never a skip. And I just want to I'll summarize basically what I said at the intro. It's not an easy song to play. There's a breakdown. There's some different. There's a bridge. There's piano cutting in. They stop. They start. This just goes to show you why they are the greatest rock and roll band in the world. So that's me.
Yeah. I'm going to sort of jump on what Carl has said, ladies and gentlemen, too, and shine a light. You know, it's off one of the greatest rock and roll albums we've ever had the pleasure to listen. It's been one of the highlights that I've been personally involved in on this channel, talking about. We've probably done 3 or 4 shows, Simon, over the 4 years, talking about, you know, Exile on Main Street, and, you know, for obvious reasons, and we're probably never going to stop talking about that album. But as Carl says, said, Mr. Jagger rips that opening verse. It's just phenomenal what he's doing. But I'm not like Carl. I'm not in Louisiana or Tennessee or Kentucky when I hear this song. I'm back in France in '72. I'm at Nalcote there. I'm rolling a couple of numbers for Keith. I'm pouring a scotch for Mick Taylor. You know, I'm cleaning up.
You're tuning Graham Parsons' guitar.
Yeah.
You're jamming with Mick.
You got it. This is the song that does it for me, that transports me back to, that 71, 72 time, when the Stones were completely and utterly, without doubt, on top of the world, and rightfully so. Simon, what's really nice about this song too is Mick is singing this song. He's actually singing it, and after listening to a couple of songs, that Mick has been doing since, where he's rapping, for obvious reasons. The guy's getting towards 80, so he's got to look after his voice. But on this, he's actually 100% singing it. And I too have given this a 10 out of 10. One of the gems on the album, Simon.
No, I agree. It is one of the gems, isn't it? That kind of dramatic piano open and that great gospel feel. And I think that's one of the really great things about this, is that it moves into that gospel groove with the organ as well. Very kind of gospel organ, and the backing singers really bring it, and singing along with Mick. And so you've got that big kind of choir-like impression as they go through. It's great. They drop it down to the bass and the acoustic and the piano, just the hi-hat keeping time. And then they come in with that kind of reggae feel as well, that kind of chopped stones reggae thing that they do, that is particularly them. And they've got this guitar solo, some piano solos. But again, I think it's that gospel feel in the backing singers that really make it. It's got great swing, a great, it's got a great feel to it, as you say, Carl. Takes you down to the southern states, doesn't it? Kind of Baptist churches, kind of swaying thing. And so it's a 10 out of 10 for me, and never a skip. But this is one of the highlights of this record for sure. One of the secret little diamonds. Yeah, I really, really loved it. It's great, and I wasn't aware of this version until now.
I was blown away this morning. I really was.
Yeah. It is really good, isn't it? Really good.
Yeah. So this has been amazing.
Hey, Arvin, good to see you, brother. It's been a while since you've been on a live show, and also Fruitcake Tony was in here earlier. Fruitcake Tony, if you're here, brother, good to see you.
Still awake.
All right.
Carl, The Spider and the Fly.
Yes. So this is another oldie but a goodie, in the sense of this came out on Out of Our Heads, the American version. So the Stones, just like the Beatles, had they released albums in the individual countries, but the American and the English albums had slightly different track listings. So you'll find this on Out of Our Heads 1965, the American version. I'm going to flip the script a little bit and say I prefer the original version, 1965. I can understand what they're doing. Once again, they're paying homage this time to Jimmy Reed. And as Simon mentioned before with Ron and Keith, the reason I liked the original version, Keith and Brian Jones were doing that weaving, which gave them that core sound. Not taking anything away from Mick Jagger or Charlie, the great rhythm section of Charlie and Bill, but I still like the song in the sense that they're going into, it's a deep cut, and they're giving the audience a bluesy song, a blues feel, because the Stones, as we all know, are a blues-based R&B band. So yeah, I like it, but I don't love it. I'm going to get a 6.5 out of 10, and I can understand what they're trying to do. But it's a great way to explore. Spider and a Fly. Okay, where's the liner notes? Out of Our Heads. Okay, I'll go and listen to the original. So it's a great way for a newbie to discover some great old Stone songs. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with Carl over the years talking about the Rolling Stones in particular, amongst other acts and blues giants that we talk about. But in particular, we deep dived and spoke about the Stones lots and lots of times. And this song in particular was one that Carl drew my particular attention to a few years ago. I never really paid much attention to this song. And it wasn't until I was having a conversation with Carl when Carl brought my attention to Brian Jones and this whole idea of the guitar weaving that Carl just mentioned in his discussion of this song. and I went and listened to it, and we talk about this often, don't we? That when we hear a backstory or we read something or we hear something and it affects our mind intellectually, and we go back and then somehow in our soul we hear it again a little bit differently. So this song, when I hear this song, I always think of Carl, because Carl was the one that pushed me into the direction of this song as a very good example of the weaving. So go and check that out, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know what Brian and Keith were doing, it's a classic example for that. Clearly, from the research that I've done, they updated the verse from the rinsed out blonde from being in her 30s. This time she's in her 50s. So top marks, Stones, for keeping that.
The censorship guys happy?
At least believable. Good on you, Mick. Good on you.
But don't you, when he sings it, he there's a pause, isn't there? And he goes, 50s?
But he does it very well.
Funny.
But if you go back and have a look at the video and see how he's doing it, it's very good. It's very good. It's the way that only an Englishman can do, and he pulls it off. And again, Simon, I think, and we've got Arvin in here because he's a harp player too. So, Mick's tone on his harp has developed really, really well. So, getting some richness there, which I like. What did you guys think of that jazzy kind of guitar solo going on there?
Cool.
I'll be honest. I don't think I picked that up for years and years and years, and it wasn't only start again. It was during this week, I think, that I became fully aware of what Keith was doing. Or sorry, not Keith. Mr. Wood was doing on this. So I love that. It was a nice surprise. And because of that, I gave this originally an 8 out of 10. But because of that nice little guitar solo, I've given it, Simon, 9 out of 10.
Good work. Do you know, I picked up on that as well, that jazzy elements of in the end guitar solo as well. I thought, blimey, that's a bit of a departure for them. I absolutely picked up on the intertwined guitars. And I think, we've talked a lot on this channel about the Brian Jones, and the Ron Wood versions, as the intertwining versions. And as everybody knows, the best version of the Rolling Stones is the one with Mick Taylor in it. But it's the one where they don't do it. Slightly contentious. But they don't do that. There's a much more clear delineation between Keith and Mick. Mick Taylor, sorry. But no, I think that you can see on this. It's interesting, isn't it? These kind of updated sort of versions. Because the recordings are different, you get to hear a bit more about how those things intertwine in a bit of a clearer way, sort of digital era stuff. That I think is actually enhances what I think they're actually doing, and it enhances my appreciation of what they're doing together and how they play together and how intertwined it is and how it's almost individual notes. I talked in an earlier song about how one plays one chord and the other one fills in the rest of the chord. And then he does it again, just does that, being able to go bang, and then the other one does a bit, just to that level of, almost single note stuff. I agree, the harp solo is a lot better. Mick's getting into it on this one. It's good. I like the electric piano. I mean, I like the loose vocals as well. I think that sort of triple rhyming, internal rhyming thing on the, on each of the lines, sitting, thinking, sinking, drinking. I find that, I'm afraid I find that kind of wordplay pretty attractive, really, as a thing. That's my thing, and I enjoy that very much as a thing. So I went with it, and I think it's really good, and and it fits the kind of the vibe of the song. I gave this an 8 out of 10. Absolutely never a skip. It's a really cool version of it. I really liked it.
Awesome. Hey, Nelson, good to see you, brother.
Morning, Nelson.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to retract my score, but I did want to mention that It goes to show you, and Simon touched on a little bit how just laid back and lazy it feels, but it's a swing that they're doing, and full credit to Bill Wyman and Charlie on the original recording, and obviously Charlie with this later recording. It's a very hard drum beat to play because he's playing behind the beat. So just for all those musicians out there, sometimes less is more.
Could we say Bill Wyman left the Rolling Stones 30 years ago this month?
Wow. Oh, wow.
Officially, kind of.
You're full of figures, Professor.
I think he actually left a bit before that but he told them I'm leaving. I think a bit earlier than that. But I think it was only now they came back in '92 and said, "Oh, we're going on tour again next year." And he's like, "I told you, I'm leaving. I've left."
Keith
really?
says,
I thought you were joking. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you got afraid of flying in the end. I think you got sick of the planes.
Yeah. Well, Well,
we're
been in it for 30 years. Yes.
Wow, right. Hey, this next song, I'm Free. I think this is a perfect pop song. Once again, it's a song that you'll hear this on December's Children on side 2 on the American version. I'm surprised it didn't get more airplay back in the 60s because it's a great song. It shows you just more of their pop side. I wouldn't call it a rock song as such. It's very radio friendly, but it's got enough depth there where it's not commercial. And the song got a bit of a lift in the early 90s with that sort of grungy neo-modern hippie group scene with the Soup Dragons, one of Andrew's favourite bands. Is that right?
The Soup Dragons. Well, now you see there's a quite obscure reference, kids. Well-known rock and roll band, the Soup Dragons. I know who the Soup Dragons are. Behave.
But hey, it's a deep cut. It's got some flower power. Even though it's cut in '65, it's almost got a hint of hippiness there. I'm going to give it a 7. Just a straightforward, great rock pop song. That's about it, really. No fancy guitar, just a catchy song. Just basically, bread and butter.
Okay. I hear what Carl is saying, ladies and gentlemen, and what he talks about how he prefers the version on December's Children. I actually prefer the live version that they did when they were at Altamont, which is captured on the remastered reissue of Get Your Yayas Out, and also Gimme Shelter, the movie that came out, where they have that different groove of the song completely, at Altamont, and I just absolutely love it. And just hold on for a second, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm trying to read my notes.
Because it came after Under My Thumb. It was 2 songs for one, wasn't it?
Exactly. So Under My Thumb, and then with this, I'm Free. Go and check that out on Get Your Yayas Out on the 40th anniversary reissue. It's just pure gold. Carl and Simon, this is a nice ditty on here. Nothing stands out for me on this song other than it's an opportunity, I think, for you to probably get up and go to the toilet or go and grab another beer without having to turn the vinyl over, Simon. I get what Carl's saying about it being a pop song. Nevertheless, and we don't particularly mind pop songs here because a lot of the bands that we talk about in their day were actually pop artists. It's only later on that they became classified as rock artists or something else entirely different. Simon and Brad, sorry,
there wasn't
Simon
anything.
And Carl, I've marked this 6 out of 10, and it could sometimes be a skip.
Wow. Decommission.
I never. Blimey.
Everything's gone quiet.
Everything's, yeah.
Deathly silence.
6 out of 10 and might be a skip. Blimey. Anyway, well, I'm gonna go one better than Carl with his obscure 90s British bands reference. And the first thing I wrote down was, oh, look, it's like the Stars of Heaven. Stars of Heaven, anyone?
Is that a book? Is that a children's?
No, they're an Irish band. They made a brilliant EP. I think it's called Heartless. I can't remember what it's called. But it has that kind of that guitar sound, that very kind of clean guitar sound on it. Very melodic, clean guitar sound that I must say I find quite attractive myself as a sound. And it just that beginning bit reminded me of the Stars of Heaven, which is quite an obscure reference, but it's a really good record. I really like it. It's a very melodic kind of harmony singing record.
Was that genre in the early 90s in England? Was that called sub pop? Was that a genre? Sub pop?
No, sub pop is more like that was a label, Sub Pop, in America.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sub Pop is more grunge stuff rather than.
Okay.
Well, this is like just sort of what do they call it? Not power pop.
And the word pop
it's kind of not the underside.
Not a dirty word.
No,
pop's just short for popular. Pop just means popular.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nothing wrong with a pop song at all. Best written pop songs are fantastic things. 3
Absolutely.
minutes of gold is as hard as you like to do. But
bubblegum that never wears out.
Yeah, yes. I like the backing vocals as well on the chorus. I think they're singing the backing. I think Keith. You talked about Mick being in good voice singing here. I think Keith's a pretty good voice in the backing vocals on some of these tracks as well. Does a really good job of singing on these and singing properly. It sounds really good. As I say, I think it's got that again, the organ on it, which helps to one of the major instruments on this thing. I think it's got that the middle bit has that Stones chop in it as well that they do, a bit like the previous song had as well. And it's got an organ solo to the end, so they're kind of changing it up with a different instrument doing the solo. And the guitar solo has that kind of very mellow sound. I know he's playing on the neck pickup, but it sounds like he's playing, on that neck pickup sort of thing. But I gave it an 8 out of 10 because I really like it. For no logical reason other than I really liked it and I would never skip it. I think it's a really cool, fits in with the spider and the fly and that kind of poppy thing, and is a good contrast to what's been and what's they've hit the blues thing, and then they've done that much more kind of acoustic poppy thing.
That song they've used on me. I'm not sure if the Stones got paid, but they've used that jingle and that song and those for many commercials, dishwashing detergent and all sorts. So it definitely they Stones, like the Beatles, had the great gift of switching it up. A hard rock song and then a great pop song. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so closing out with the 7th song. As you know, this is side 1. It's 14 tracks in total?
Okay. It is 14 tracks in total, and this is track 7.
And what a way to close, Wild Horses. Obviously, in that great period from 68 to 72, where the Stones were unstoppable. And it shows their more sweet, sensitive side, and obviously the Graham Parsons, Flying Burritos, country rock influence, which had a big impact on Keith's playing. And for all you guitar players out there or people wanting to learn how to play the guitar, which I've never tried, but it introduced us to Nashville tuning. But I think the often overlooked thing is the great synergy between Mick and Keith, one writing the music and the other one writing the lyrics. I think it was about Marianne Faithfull had overdosed or something. Is that right, in Australia? Or was something, and I think so. Keith wrote the music, but Mick wrote all the lyrics. Am I right? I think I am. Yeah,
I'll look.
but without getting too deep into that sort of into the technical side, I just think that when we think of when radio stations think of Stones, they think of Satisfaction, Jumping Jack Flash. But true Stones lovers, they think of Wild Horses and Can't You Hear Me Knocking and just Sticky Fingers in general. A heavyweight monster album of the 70s, if not one of the albums of all-time rock music. Beautiful guitar playing, singing. Just once again, they're not a 3-chord wonder. They're not 3 chords, 2 strings, and 1 a-hole. They're more than that. So I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10, and a great version. Never a skip.
I got to agree with what Carl said there. You know, I love all versions of this song, all versions. And again, I mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, that DVD, that film that came out, Give Me Shelter. And it's a wonderful film. If you haven't seen it, go and get it. Watch it. It's really, really important. And there's a couple of clips in there that are really, really significant. One of them is they focus on Mick Taylor when they're in Muscle Shoals, and they're listening to this. And they're focusing on Keith as well, the camera, and you can almost feel there's a tear in Mick Taylor's eye when he's listening to this song. Whether it's because, you know, he's thinking of something else, I don't know. Go and have a look. There's definitely a significant moment there that they capture on film that's always had a huge effect on me as a Stones nut. And go and listen to this song. This song has a wonderful ability to bring out, and I've mentioned this before when we've ranked this album that Carl's mentioned here, Sticky Fingers. We've ranked this word called melancholy. It manages to bring these emotions of melancholy and sadness to me when I hear it, but has also this ability to twist it too and become a celebration, Simon, because of the music. I think it's one of those great songs. This particular version, though, you know, you've got a great set of vocals there by Mick. But what's really, really cool about this is you've got Keith playing his guitar, and go and have a look at the video. And Keith is doing this wonderful rake. He's doing a wonderful rake. He does it a few times when he's playing the acoustic guitar. He rakes up. And you don't get that on any other versions. You certainly don't get it on any of the electric versions that they did. And the rock professor mentioned Keith's vocals or backing harmonies on this album. This is one track in particular where Keith adds, and it's unmistakable, it's undeniable that it's Keith. It's certainly not Ronnie. You can hear him there. And also, I'm going to have to mention this, Ronnie's delicate solo. It's just fantastic. It's a beautiful song. I've Brad scored this. This is one of the highlights on the album. And I just want to echo a point that Carl made too. You know, for Stones nuts, as Carl said, you know, Wild Horses is going to be one of the songs that Stones nuts are going to have in their pack of 5, definitely. Rock Professor.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. I mean, it's one of the great Stones songs, isn't it? One of their greatest songs. It's got that kind of a country feel. Just having a look, Carl, whilst you were talking about it. Jagger said that I remember we sat around originally doing this with Graham Parsons, and I think his version came out slightly before ours. Everyone always says this was written about Marianne Faithfull, but I don't think it was. It was all well over by then. But I was definitely very inside this piece emotionally. Keith Richards says, if there's a classic way of Mick and me working together, this is it. I had the riff and the chorus line. Mick got stuck into the verses. Just like Satisfaction, Wild Horses was about the usual thing of not wanting to be on the road, being a million miles from where you want to be. So I think it's not about Marianne Faithfull, but I agree with you. I think it's one of their greatest songs, and they do this so well. They can't. It's a no fail song, isn't it? Lovely 2 acoustics playing the intro, and they're beautifully recorded, and it sounds fantastic. It's recorded. They're done live in the studio, so it's you'd expect it. But I love the organ as well, holding on to those, in the background. Again, the organ in the background, bolstering it up, making it sound really good. I like the vocals. I think the harmony vocals as well. Keith is hats off to him for doing the that backing singing and making it really good. I don't mind a bit of, it's a bit of grit in Keith and Keith's voice, but I always think that. Well,
they said that he was a. They said he was a choir boy and had a very angelic voice. Then one day his voice broke, and that was it. It was over.
Well, I don't think that was it. I think he does a really good job of being a backing singer. To be honest, on this, it's maybe in later years it's all gone a bit more, but,
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yes, it's lovely. So again, you've got a piano. I particularly like at 3:15. Charlie comes back in, and he clearly got a bit overexcited, comes in a bit hot, and then slows down. Typical Charlie Watts fashion. Whoa! I think I came in a bit hot there. I'm going to slow down a bit. There's a distinct, which I love. I love that's what a live band is, and that's what they do. And Charlie always has the confidence. If he thinks he's going, well, I mean, a Route 66 is a classic case of about 20 seconds in, he decides it's too slow and speeds up considerably, which is funny. But I like that. As he obviously clearly realised, came in a bit hot there, better slow down a bit. And it's a fantastic song. It's a fantastic version of it. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. It's one of the highlights, and will always be a highlight of any Stones gig.
Absolutely.
In any Stones catalogue is Wild Horses. It's a fantastic, brilliant song.
All credit has to
said.
go to as well to Donald Edward Fagenson, also known as Don Was. If people aren't familiar with him, he is a fan of the band, and that's one of the reasons why I think this album sounds so good. The Glimmer Twins had to get somebody in to help, produce this, because go and read Wikipedia if you want, or watch the documentary, Totally Stripped, and you'll see that this is recorded in a lot of studios around the world, and also the Paradiso Club in France, and a lot of the live versions that are available on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, where they're playing in tight, small clubs, is fantastic. Well worth going to see, because the Stones, I think, are being captured in a situation that we don't see them in a lot now, because obviously the importance of playing to as many people as possible is going to also take precedence with them now, considering what's happening in their age as well. They're not going to do these small gigs anymore, Simon and Carl. We've got this wonderful documentary. And again, before I pass it on to you guys, I made a point of this when I did a show earlier this morning. Again, all credit to the Rolling Stones and their management and their record companies for throwing all this information out. In 2016, we got the Totally Stripped. We got everything all available. They threw it out there and said, here, fans, if you want it, go and buy it, Simon and Carl. They didn't just say, hey, we're going to come out and just give you another remastered version of the original, which is something that other bands, in particular the Van Halen band, needs to take notice of.
They don't seem to take any notice of anybody, much, do they, except themselves?
For a fan like me, or a fan worldwide, is it bonus tracks or add-ons or interviews, or what's added?
Yeah, go to Apple tonight. It's on Apple TV, and buy the digital download. and watch it. It's fantastic. It's well worth the investment.
It's a five disc limited edition, Carl. So it's got the album in different order, but there's other tracks on it as well. There's a Blu-ray, so there's film of them doing the performances. There's film of the Paradiso in Amsterdam in 26, and L'Olympia Stadium in Paris. So there's Blu-ray and the Brixton Academy as well. So you get 3 concerts there, full concerts, 20 songs each.
Wow.
22 songs. So
And there's
plus
some stills from the
new versions.
Oh, neat.
from the
Shivers.
video. So you can see Ronnie there with his lap slide.
Yeah.
Yep.
And have a look at that. Look at that small set there.
Imagine being there.
Suits them, doesn't it?
Ronnie's playing a Firebird.
See that?
But this is the publication. Sorry, that's the package there. It came out in 2016, ladies and gentlemen. So go and get the totally stripped version, not the original stripped. If you're going to invest any money, get the totally stripped.
Okay.
What did you guys think of this cover when it came out?
It was edgy. I thought that they were still. They're on the cusp of still looking relatively youthful, but
yeah,
I guess the final chapter.
Yeah.
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 As always, Charlie looks out of place. He's like, I should be in a cafe drinking a coffee and having a blueberry muffins.
Well, not quite carrying up the post-punk thing. Yeah, this is the shade stuff. Charlie, give it up, mate. Go back to your 50s jazz rock look. It's a better idea. Yes. Great photograph by Anton Corbijn, the Dutch photographer. Fantastic. Who did all
that's a great
the
shot.
U2 photographs, U2 covers, U2 photographs and stuff. He's renowned for, amongst others. But check him out.
It was very much an interesting period, that 95, 96 period.
Yeah,
sort of
interesting
grunge
for them, wasn't it? Kind of transitional period.
Right, because everything sort of changed after that.
That's a still from.
They became just
filming, recording Wild Horses, and that's the maestro's fingers
playing
there.
a C chord. Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
With
Is that how you
6 strings, disgracefully.
And 3 fingers, and it looks like half the fingers cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always loved that cover. I thought the cover was pretty cool. Always loved it.
Yeah. Keith, being Keith, Mick, still looking youthful. Ron looking a bit punky.
But you're right, though.
Charlie,
with, Charlie looking like the dad that's, got his sons there.
Put this on, Dad. Interestingly, he's the only one with grey hair.
Yeah.
No, that's more like it, Charlie. Get your suit on and a tie. That's more like it.
Elder statesman.
So, yeah.
Yes,
so these are
absolutely,
pics, ladies and gentlemen, from 95. Trust me. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, the Firebird.
And
Wow.
And there you are, huddled as close as you can get together, playing together. That's
amazing.
That's the pictorial version of them. What they do, isn't it? That kind of very closely together, intertwined playing.
Yeah.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you go and watch the DVD, they'll tell you about the tickets. I won't spoil it for you, but it's wonderful. They explain to you how they managed to get the people to get tickets to go and watch the Stones play at this small club, and how these young people are running around trying to get the tickets. It's fantastic. It's well worth going to watch. And I tell you, they are young people. They are young people lining up, Simon and Carl, to go and watch the Stones.
So coming off the heels of the Voodoo Lounge tour, which was one of the most successful tours of all time, and they were making great inroads, obviously, with their concerts, with the big video display. Was this very much an intimate little mini European tour, was it, after the big tour?
Correct.
Ah, wow. Okay.
Well, it's a mixture, isn't it, Andrew? It's a mixture of the two things. So they, some of them. I mean, the Brixton Academy is not very big. It's a 2,000, I guess, something like that. Whereas, some of the other places that they played on that tour are much bigger. Proper stadium things, and they mixed it all up. The Paradiso in Amsterdam is a club as well, I think. So, I think they were doing that thing that Stones did, which is they play. It's a bit like the Stones live at the El Macambo, with the Love You Live thing, where they did sort of, they do some club dates to kind of, and then they do some, some stadium stuff around.
Well, one tour that's often overlooked is everyone thinks of the 75 tour and the 81, but a lot of people don't know that they did a little mini American 78 tour with no horn section, no piano, just a stripped down band. And great versions of some girls' songs. But what I love about those little mini European tours is not only the great venues, but the Europeans are such great music lovers, and English is a second language, and they're great fans. They sing along. The Stones are teaching them English through their music. This particular album's got some great choruses, and and so many Americans are admired in Europe who don't make it in America. Europe's got such a authentic fan base. Places like Paris, Nina Simone, I think, lived there. Amsterdam, Mink DeVille was popular there. So those European countries I would consider very much authentic fans.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So we'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, if all goes well, next week with part 2 on this, and we'll open it up to Brad. Brad may want to jump on. He'll be back from gigging, so we'll give Brad the opportunity. He's either going to jump on with us, with Carl and I and the Rock Professor, and offer his opinions and his rankings on the remaining 7 songs. But yeah, I'm glad, Carl, you picked this, because I know that we've discussed this album a few times on a couple of other shows in the past. We've discussed it, but like a lot of albums, when you discuss them, you think, my gosh, have we actually ranked them? It's like, for example, Slow Hand had its birthday a couple of days ago. Eric Clapton's Slow Hand. And we haven't ranked that, but we've discussed it. We've done a show talking about it. So we look forward to ranking that. But
the journey continues.
Oh, yeah. But it's been a pleasure hanging out with especially Stephen. I know that when we do Stones shows, I notice Stephen is always quick to jump on and do a show with us, adding his comments. And Stephen, if you ever want to come on and hang out with us and talk about the Stones live next year, we're running out of time. We probably won't have any free weekends between now and Christmas, but if you want to jump on and talk Rolling Stones with us, because clearly you are a fan, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of our things, isn't it? And yes, Carl, as somebody a while ago said, "Do you think you'll run out of albums?" Not anytime soon. No.
We're just getting started.
Yeah, well, completely. Yes.
Yeah, because I was telling Andrew that I'd like to do JJ Cale naturally, but we can talk about that.
Now we're talking. Oh, that's one of my favourite records. That is. Oh,
Yep.
yeah,
is that absolutely. Right? Yeah. Well, there's a lot of links to that to other. Well, Andrew's mate Eric, but and obviously Leonard Skinner. But we can talk about that later.
Oh, I'm in for that.
Keep that up your sleeve for next year. But yeah, we'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, next week with part 2. And like I say, we'll give Brad the opportunity to jump in. He may be still gigging, but hopefully hopefully he'll jump on. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have a date too on the channel for our Christmas show. It's the 18th or the 17th, depending on where you are around the world. So that is on our channel, and we'll be streaming for about 6 hours, 7 hours, maybe 8 hours. So like last year, if you guys weren't familiar with what we did, we'll have people coming on. You know, Carl's going to pop on for 10, 15 minutes. Keith Campbell was going to be a co-host with us. He's going to be doing the whole show. But if you guys want to pop on and spend 10, 15, 20 minutes wishing everybody a Merry Christmas, Alan, it goes for you as well. Hugh, anybody, if you guys want to jump on, please let me know. I'll pass you the link. Jump on, and we'll be just talking about things that people talk about at the end of the year, Simon.
Yeah, absolutely. All you need is a phone and a pair of headphones, wired headphones. Really, that's all you need. You don't need headphones. Carl's doing it without headphones, and that's fine. These days, a phone and a pair of headphones is perfect. You don't need anything else. You don't need any fancy kit.
I've got wireless headphones.
No, that's fine. But I think headphones are a good idea because they stop extraneous noise and stuff, make you hear better because you can control the volumes on the microphone and things. But you don't need anything fancy. You really don't need anything fancy to come on for 10 minutes.
You don't need family portraits behind you or guitars behind you like we do. You don't need anything like that.
Yes, showing off. That's just showing off having guitars behind you. Instead of man with guitars behind him.
But we'll look forward to that, and at some stage too, ladies and gentlemen, Simon and I and Brad will be on between. Hopefully, we're going to work out a date. If you guys remembered, last year we did a show and we spoke about our 5 top things for the year. Our 5 disappointments or sad things or negative things that happened. And also we're going to talk about 5 positive things or hopeful things that we want to have happen next year and look forward to. And I promise none of it will be political at all.
Keeping in the Christmas spirit.
I have to start again then.
keeping in the Christmas spirit.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Thank you very much. There's enough of that. It's not even December. Can't sing Christmas carols until it's December, Carl. It's the rules.
I hope you don't work.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we'll have to work out a date, Simon, where we do that.
Cool.
We might even do that between Christmas and New Year. Maybe that might be the best time to do it. Maybe.
Yes, I'll be somewhere else, but that's fine. No worries for me. Any day that Christmas week I can do.
Awesome. Yeah. Me too.
Cool. Cool.
Carl, also known as Willie Not. Willie Fling. He flung down.
Willie or Willie Not.
Willie Fling more.
Willie turn out next week or Willie Not.
You were saying in the green room that you were going to share a joke with us and everybody, and we never got a chance for you to tell the joke during the intro.
I think I heard it during the week.
I'm keen to hear this joke that you said that you were going to tell us.
It was just in relation to a Motley Crue finished a American tour or something, and Tommy Lee being a typical. They call him he's 60 years old, but he acts like he's 18, and he went nude or something. But Motley's always been criticised for their lack of musical skill, except for Mick Mars. Naturally, Mick Mars, I think, is a great guitar player. But I think they were touring with Def Leppard and Poison and that. And they said, how does Def Leppard's drummer sound so much better when he's only got one arm and Tommy Lee has 3? So yeah. How is that book?
What is that, Mr. Walton? Like it's a small screen. I can't read it.
Oh, it's Motley Crue's biography.
Oh, scandal.
What's it like?
I'm going to tell you.
Is it over the top?
I've read a lot of music biographies over the years, ladies and gentlemen, and the Slash biography had a huge effect on me because of what they did leading up to how, what they were doing before they released their first album, and obviously what happened when they had their 3 albums. Wow, it just shined a light on their whole life, and I never really sort of figured that they would have actually done a lot of those things, but certainly solidly a rock and roll band that lived life in the fast lane, beyond a doubt.
Wow. Yeah.
This band
So-
here, Motley Crue too, my gosh.
In the faster lane. Yes.
It's amazing that they still have family members that talk to them and friends for a starter. It's amazing people still want to hang around with them. And Brad and Simon, that they're still alive, because if you want a glimpse into the decadence of LA rock and American rock in the 80s especially, wow. No holes barred.
Yes, and some. Yes. Oh dear, that's funny.
We're going to do a show. We keep
Hey,
talking
guys,
about
my,
that. I've done. Oh, sorry, mate. I was interrupting you. Sorry.
I'll probably have to wrap it up in 5 or less. These headphones are starting to
Yep.
I run out of juice, and my phone is about to die. But
Okay,
you
we'll cruise
can
then.
finish, and I'll just you can finish what you're saying, and then I'll just sort of do a little summary of the show if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. We keep talking about that we're going to get together and talk collectively about our favourite biographies, music biographies, and we certainly will do a show like that next year. We'll do a couple. I've already done a couple here on the channel individually by myself, but Brad and I and Simon have been talking about that as one of the things that we were going to do. So we're going to certainly do something like that, talk about just for a couple of minutes, a couple of reasons why we think this biography is good or this one is bad. Simon and Carl, I'm going to leave you guys to wrap up the show, and then we'll cruise.
Okay, I'll just say thanks to everyone in the chat. We'll roll back up to the top. So I think Teresa popped in earlier. So Teresa, thank you for popping in. Hope you're well. Hope that's right. Stephen Fish, thank you, Stephen, for popping in. If you want to come on the show, tell Andrew, album, we'll do it. That would be cool. And Hugh Corbell as well said he'd love to do another one. Hugh, pick an album, we'll be there.
Oh, cheers, Hugh. Yeah, come back, brother.
Yeah, come back next year. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be fantastic. So Arvin, of course, Arvin Corn, Ellen, thanks, Ellen. Johnny Heartbreaker, Gretch Zeppelin as well. Thanks, Gretch, for dropping by. We had Fruitcake Tony, Tim Thomas. So Charles 75N. Thank you, Charles, for dropping by. Very cool to see you. There's Fruitcake. Hugh Caldwell, of course. I'll mention him again. It's Nelson Rodriguez, of course. Nelson, hope you're well. It's, seeing you in the chat, really cool. I think that's hopefully everybody. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. So thanks all for joining. Good to see you all again this week. And we'll see you next week for part 2 with Willie Knott.
Yeah.
Carl,
Hey, I
you
just
got
want
the
to
last
say,
words? Yep.
hey, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Oh, great. Okay, I'll close out before the scene dies. But I just want to say thank you for the invite. I wish I could do this show more often. I always have a lot of fun. It's great to be around not only music lovers but friends. And I just want to tell the world I'm just so proud of these guys and how they've built this channel from 2 subscribers to 2,000 to ultimately 10,000 and to the moon and back. These guys are the real
Thank you so
deal.
much.
These guys are musicians, they're musical fans, they're family men, they're friends. They are great guys. So yeah, tell a friend, subscribe, share a link, do a thumbs up, donate a pick, money, a concert ticket, an autograph. Keith, are you listening? Eric, where are you? But yeah, I was going to say, as Neil Young would say, long may it run, but long may it continue. So yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Carl. That's really cool of you.
Yeah.
As you started,
And I promise, if I see you in a social environment, it'll never be a skip. I'll always say hi.
Take care, all.
Cheers,
See you
guys.
next week. Bye.
Thank you, Carl. Wonderful.
Thank you,
See ya.
Carl. Fantastic stuff.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Take care.
See you.
You're gone.
Oh, he's gone. He's
Is he
out
gone?
of here.
Is he gone? Yeah, he's
Okay.
out of here.
He's out of here. Okay.
You're gone.
Oh, that was fun. All right.
That's cool.
Well, yeah. Look, we're going to say some nice things about Carl while he's gone. We love Carl. Thank you, Carl. We look forward to doing part 2 with Carl, don't we, Simon? It's always a barrel of laughs with Carl.
Always-
we love him.
always
We
fun.
love him dearly.
Mr. Techno.
We
There's
love
always
him.
a techno drama with Carl, isn't there? They're just these.
If it's not a cat, it's him eating.
Cooking, eating,
And cooking.
Technology. Hello, can you hear me? That should be his name, shouldn't it? Carl, can you hear me?
I'm very, very
Fantastic to see
honoured
him.
and blessed to
brilliant.
call him, ladies and gentlemen, a very dear friend of mine. And he's a real friend. As much as Simon is a real
Not
friend
a real
too.
friend, yes.
But he's real. Like we'll catch up for a coffee during the week and we'll talk about the show. And yeah, he's a great guy. We better go because we don't want
get out of
him
here.
having a swollen head. He won't be able to get
No.
through doors tomorrow. So
He won't be listening. He thinks we've gone. Come on, get us out of here before we get ourselves into trouble.
all right.
Take
Yeah,
care,
Hugh,
all. See you next
Come
week.
back and see us next year,
Hugh.
Hugh.
Yes.
Come and do a show with
Hugh
us.
says
Yeah.
he's the front door man. Nice one.
The front door man. We've got the back door man. Now we've got a front door
Now
man.
we've got front door. I think you should get us out of here before we get into any more trouble, Mr. Bolton.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.